There are some big opportunities for Michigan's 2025 recruiting class still as we move into what's soon to be the month of August. Michigan's sitting at 16 total commitments right now. They are ranked the 12th best class, although the teams that are from like 14th right now down to about 10-9 are all within like a 10-point range. And a lot of the teams around that range have more commitments than Michigan. I think the only school that doesn't have as many and actually has two less is Clemson, who has a pretty high average recruit rating. But regardless, 16 total commitments for Michigan, 12 of those recruits with all of the updates from all the recruiting sites recently. 12 of them are composite 4-stars. And there's more than three prospects total, obviously, for Michigan's class still. But there's three guys in the top 100 of the composite that Michigan is heavily pursuing and has a really good chance of landing. And that's what we're going to be talking about here today. The first recruit who, if you're a Michigan fan and you follow recruiting, you're very aware of this. 5-star offensive tackle Andrew Babaloa from Kansas. He's the 27th overall player in the country with the 24/7 Sports composite. He stands at 6 foot 6 inches, 280 pounds. He moves very fast. He's one of those prospects, which we see this a lot with offensive tackle prospects. Still needs to put on some more weight, but very quick feet, very good wingspan. A guy that you want protecting your quarterback's blind side. And Sharon Moore grew up in Kansas. That's a big connection that he's been trying to use to relate to Babaloa, to build some chemistry with him. But with Andrew, Stanford was the number one school for him for a very long time, and it still looks like it is by a slight margin because he values his academics above everything else. He's one of those kids that knows football is just going to be a short period of his life, at least playing it, and he wants to make sure he gets his degree and is able to accomplish things in his professional life outside of the world of football. So he released the top 5. Stanford's obviously in it. Auburn's in it. Then we have a couple schools close to Kansas in Oklahoma and Missouri, and then Michigan made it. But this is a kid that Michigan really needs to land. Right now, as it stands, they have one other offensive line commitment in their 2025 class, and Avery Gash. I don't know how to pronounce his last name, but he's a 4-star, very good player, ranked around that 200 mark. And they did have 5 or 6 offensive lineman commitments in their previous class. But to be able to land a 5-star like this would be huge. The last time I think Michigan landed a 5-star lineman, whether it be on the offensive side of the ball or the defensive side, I think it was Mozzie Smith back in 2019. So, this would be the first 5-star lineman in about 6 years for them. And with Sharon Moore's track record of coaching offensive linemen, the Joe Moore Awards they've won at Michigan, him now being the head coach, and everybody knowing that it's going to be a run-heavy offense and the linemen are going to be a priority and they're going to be seen as, elite NFL prospects. I mean, they just sent 6 linemen to the NFL last year. That's a big selling point. Again, him being from Kansas and Andrew being from Kansas is another big selling point. In the academic thing, Michigan has better academics than Auburn, Oklahoma, Missouri. They've developed offensive linemen way better than those 3 other schools. They've developed offensive linemen way better than Stanford recently. And if you want to play meaningful football and championship caliber football with that opportunity of getting to a national championship game and winning a national championship, right now Michigan's that clear pick. I know Missouri's doing really well with Drinkwitz. I know Oklahoma's kind of rebuilding right now with Venables. Auburn's in a tough spot. Stanford, they're just not going to compete for national titles. Michigan's going to be your best of both worlds. You're going to get to compete at the highest level, and you're going to get to have a phenomenal degree that you can, any field you want to go into, they'll have a degree for it, and it'll be great on a resume, and you'll be able to get pretty much any job that you want to, especially being a student athlete at Michigan. But Michigan, there's no reason they can't land Andrew. I know he's going to make his decision sometime early August. So if Michigan misses out on that, that's going to be a big, big missed opportunity. So that's a must get, in my opinion, for Sharon Moore and his staff. And it would really, that would really help bolster, trying to find the right words here. That would show other recruits like, hey, you can be a 5-star and you can come to Michigan. Like they don't have to just develop 4 and 3 stars. But Michigan's got to land him. The next kid is someone who's had multiple crystal balls logged for him to go to Michigan. He is ranked the 58th best player in the country, according to the composite. 4-star wide receiver Andrew Marsh from Texas stands at 6'1", about $180. And according to the crystal balls for him to go to Michigan have both been from 24/7 Sports, but according to On3, their recruiting prediction machine, it is 86.6% chance that he goes to Michigan, and then somewhere scattered in, it's like Oklahoma, Texas, and USC, all at like 2, 3, and 2%. So I don't know when Andrew's going to commit. I would expect before the regular season starts for high school football, so probably sometime early mid-August. But this would be, I think, Michigan's highest receiver commitment since Donovan Peoples-Jones back in 2017. So about 8 years now. So we're talking about two guys, Andrew Babaloa and Andrew Marsh, that could be Michigan's highest ranked recruits at those positions in a long, long time. And there's so many reasons why Michigan should land these guys. If Marsh ends up committing somewhere else, huge loss. If Babaloa ends up committing somewhere else, huge loss. Michigan needs to get these guys. They need to. I know that Michigan, they have a couple other receiver commitments in their class. Washington, the 4-star, bigger receiver, about 6'3". Phillip Wright, more of a slot guy. So Marsh would fit right in there. You have a bigger receiver, you have a slot receiver, and Marsh is sort of that in between. So that would be a perfect 3-receiver class for Michigan. No reason they can't land Andrew Marsh. And then probably the most interesting out of these 3 top 100 kids is a guy who's ranked 72nd overall, 4-star linebacker, Nathaniel Owusu-Boateng from IMG Academy. Stands at 6'1", about 205 pounds, a freakishly athletic linebacker. When you think of the new age linebacker that flies sideline to sideline, can man cover a running back, and run a 4.4 40, that's what you have in Nate. And his brother, Jeremiah, played for Notre Dame, was a stud there. Now he's one of the best players on the Cleveland Browns. And according to the On3 prediction machine, Notre Dame currently leads in his recruitment, but based off of social media, if you go to his Instagram, if it's still there, his profile picture is him on his Michigan visit. He had 2 posts from his Michigan visit, just from the sounds of beat writers, people from 24/7, people from On3, people from Rivals. He really, really likes Michigan. He likes Sharon Moore. And he has 2 teammates at IMG that are currently committed to Michigan. Their center, Caden Strayhorn, and running back Donovan Johnson, who have apparently been in his ear 24/7 about committing to Michigan. I don't know if he's going to be at the barbecue at the Big House, but they keep telling him every day, hey man, Michigan's the place to be. You got to come here. And Michigan really needs another linebacker commitment. They have a 3-star currently in Chase Taylor from Georgia. He's ranked about the 600th best player in the country. But he's a bigger linebacker. He's 6'3", I think about 210. And he's been compared physically from a high school standpoint to Clemson's Isaiah Simmons, who ended up putting on, Isaiah Simmons grew like another inch in college and then ended up putting on like 30 pounds. But as a 6'4", 240 guy, ran a 4.4 40 at the combine and has been seen in the NFL playing safety, playing linebacker, being able to do all these different things, playing edge. And I think that's what Michigan's plan is for Chase Taylor, to develop him into that kind of hybrid role where he can play the edge, where he can play in the middle. Sort of like a Junior Colson. We saw Colson play on the edge sometimes. But not to get off track, but that's Michigan's only other linebacker commit in this class, and they haven't been landing a lot of linebackers in the last couple of years. Their 2 starting linebackers for this upcoming season, Jayshon Barham and Ernest Hausman, are 2 transfers from 2 rival Big Ten schools. You know, not rivals, but 2 Big Ten foes in Maryland and Nebraska. And then they have Jimmy Rolder after that, and they still have to develop some younger guys like Cole Sullivan. But Michigan's linebacker recruiting has not been great recently, you know, ever since they got Junior Colson. So this would be a big get for Michigan. If they're able to get Owusu Boateng, you know, not a smaller linebacker, but certainly not the biggest guy. You know, probably fell out in college to about 6'1", 220, 225. To pair him with a Chase Taylor that's got that 6'3", 6'4 frame and is probably going to fill out to about 235, 240, that would be a lethal Sam and Will combo. And again, 2 of his teammates are committed to Michigan already. It seems to be between Notre Dame, Michigan, and Ohio State, but he's been showing a ton of love to Michigan on social media. The fans have been showing him a ton of love. So all 3 of these guys, Andrew Babaloa, Andrew Marsh, Nathaniel Owusu Boateng, 3 top 100 recruits that are all very high on Michigan. Marsh has multiple crystal balls for Michigan. Owusu Boateng's been showing a ton of love to Michigan on social media. Babaloa has that Kansas relationship or chemistry with Sharon Moore, and Sharon's coached 2 of the best offensive lines in the last 3 years, winning the Joe Moore Award. So, in my opinion, there is no excuse for Michigan to not land these guys. And if and when they do, that will solidify them a top 10, top 8 class in Sharon Moore's first full year as the head coach, which would be a absolutely enormous victory for the program and cementing and building a foundation for future classes. So that's your Michigan recruiting update. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you could, leave a thumbs up if you found this information helpful. Thumbs up really helps the algorithm and shows this video out to more people. And if you are not already, feel free to subscribe. And yeah, I appreciate you guys. Thank you for watching as always, and I'll see you in the next video.